Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NEN webinar. My name is Meenakshi, and on behalf of NEN and Wadhwani Foundation, I would like to invite you all for this webinar and also introduce our expert speaker, Mr. Abhay Dikshit. Mr. Dikshit has more than 30 years of experience as an entrepreneur. He is also the director of Tarang Engineering Private Limited, Nagpur since 1997. He is Director of Commercial at Grand Tools Private Limited from 1989 to 2005. He has more than 10 years of experience in teaching and training entrepreneurs. He is also a visiting faculty at top management schools for last 5 years. As a certified mentor with Goldman Sachs ISB 10,000 Women Entrepreneurs Program, he specializes in the topic negotiation skills. Today, he will share his experience and knowledge of having worked with companies and entrepreneurs of different sizes, right from an early stage to startup to growth stage to mature PE-backed companies. Before I hand over the floor to Mr. Dikshit, here are a few reminders for the audiences. Audiences, you will be on mute. You may ask a question by typing in the panel provided. Over to you, Mr. Dikshit.
Thank you, Meenakshi. I hope I'm audible now to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we start on the negotiation skills webinar, let me ask you a different question. The question is, how good you think you are at communication? Let us divide this into 4 parts. Let us say excellent, very good, good, average, and poor. Excellent, very good, good, average, and poor. Please mark what you consider yourself to be. Are you excellent at communication? Are you very good? Or are you good? Or are you average or poor? Now once you have marked this, the second question is, again the same grades, but now how good you think you are as a negotiator? How good you think you are as a negotiator? Again the same 5 options: excellent, very good, good, average, and poor. Now do you see, many of you will see that there is a difference in the grade they have given to themselves or self-evaluated in communication and in negotiation. Now we will just keep this aside for a moment, and then now we will go to the next question. The first question I would like to ask you is, which is one activity in life that consumes our maximum time? Which is one activity in life which consumes our maximum time?
You'll have to share your screen. No, we are not able to see your screen. If you can just share your screen with us.
Sharing, okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
I thought you were able to see. Yeah, can you see now?
No, not really, sir.
Not really, it says, no?
No. No, on the left hand side top, yeah, we are able to see your screen, sir.
You are able to see now, right?
Yeah.
Fine, okay, thanks. Which is the question I had asked was, yeah, you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Which is one activity in life that consumes our maximum time? Many consider sleep as the correct answer, because we spend approximately 8 hours a day, which is 1/3 of the day, and the rest of the 16 hours we spend on various things from morning till we go to bed. But let me ask you another question. When we get up in the morning, the alarm bell rings, and when the alarm is on, you are negotiating with yourself whether you are going to take a nap for another 5 minutes or not. And then you may take a nap or you may not take a nap, but you have negotiated that in the morning. Then when you are getting ready to office, your mind is working on, again you are negotiating with yourself as to what are your priorities today, what important work you will do in the morning, what you will talk to your boss, how will you convince a boss on a particular thing. So you are debating yourself with yourself, you are negotiating with yourself as to what you are going to do in the office. Now this just happens with the self-negotiation. Now in the morning, so let us say the spouse is going out of the house to the office, and the spouse says to the other partner, saying, look, I would like to go to a holiday to a hill station. I would like to go on a holiday to a hill station next time. And is she negotiating? Well, actually the holiday is still 2 months away, but she has already put up her demand. So we negotiate every time we communicate. We negotiate in the office with colleagues, boss, and our juniors. At home, we negotiate with children, we negotiate with spouse, we negotiate with parents, we negotiate with siblings, and as I said, we also negotiate it with self. So if you really look at it from this point of view, you will find that you are negotiating with somebody or the other, including self, practically all the time. So I will go one step further and now say that almost all our communications are negotiations. You will wonder whether this is something which I am just trying to make a joke, but I don't think so. I'm not at it. Now you see how many times it happens to us that we make a minor remark or a small comment on one occasion, and we don't think that we are really negotiating. But then the same comment is used either by the spouse or by the colleague or by children, and they come back and use it and tell us, look, on that day you said this, but now you are saying this. Actually, that is the time we are thinking that we are negotiating, but then we have been negotiating all the time. So most of our time when we are wake up, we spend in negotiations. And that is the reason why I feel that we are negotiating all the time, and that is the activity in which we spend maximum time in our life. Now when we see this, let us go back to the question I had asked you earlier. Do you assess yourself as a good communicator, excellent communicator? My experience has been that most of the individuals are very eager to communicate, extremely eager to communicate. But they are very apprehensive about negotiating. Most of the people think that they are good communicators, but they are not so good negotiators. You can look at your own answers and see whether you agree with what I am saying. All right, now let us see if we take that negotiation is a skill and we need to spend time on learning it, on improving the skill, honing the skill, then are we spending enough time on it? Many of us hardly spend any time on learning the negotiations consciously, but spend a lot of time on learning other skills like swimming or driving a car. Most of us have spent time on driving a car by going to a driving school, or with a friend has taught us, or maybe father has taught us, or so on. So we do spend time on learning skills like driving or swimming, but hardly spend any time on learning negotiation skills, though they are so important. Okay, now let us go to the next issue. Just 1 second. Okay. Now, how can we define a negotiation skill? Now, there are various ways, but here is a very simple definition of negotiations. It is the process of finding terms for giving what the other party wants from you and what one wants to take. So you are giving something to the other party, and then you are taking back something from the other party. Now you are deciding the terms on which this will be done. And finding out these terms which are mutually acceptable is what negotiation is. This is the simple definition of negotiation, and that's why I prefer this, because this is very easy for everybody to understand. Negotiation is the process of finding terms for giving what the other party wants and take what one wants. Now, since negotiation is a voluntary process, there is no use of force. It's a voluntary process. And since it's a voluntary process, it's very natural that we would like to give as little as possible and take as much more as possible. So this is a very natural tendency of human beings, and in most of the cases this is what we try to do. But then it may not be always wise to do this. So what we should be doing is, we will come to that in a minute. So there are two types of negotiations which are generally considered, and one is the distributive negotiation, which is also called sometimes win-lose, and the other one is the integrative negotiation, which is called win-win. Now if we come to distributive negotiation, it is normally a single issue negotiation. You know, the example is like we are going on the roadside and we are buying a toy. The seller has kept toys on the road, and you are going to pick up one of that and then pay him the money. Now the only thing that consideration there is the price. You already have, you have decided, okay, you want a monkey which is maybe making a noise or can walk around, etc., etc. The quality of the product, where you will get it, how it looks like, the product, everything put together is all there. There is nothing to negotiate that about. But what you will negotiate is only the price. So these are normally single issue negotiations. Now in the single issue negotiations, it is easier for us to be very tough and negotiate as hard as possible. Now why we say it win-lose is because whatever one party wins, the other party loses. Whatever one party wins, the other party loses. Let me give an example. If the person says, the seller says that this toy costs 200 rupees. Now you will negotiate with that toy seller and maybe buy it at 175 rupees. Now if you had not negotiated, you would have paid 200. So your notional gain is 200 minus 175 is 25 rupees. And the seller has got 25 rupees less. Instead of 200, he got 175. But it doesn't mean that he has lost on the deal. His cost may be 140. So he still has made 35 rupees. But we are not looking at that profit. We are looking at loss he has made because you undertook to negotiate. If you had not negotiated, then he would have got 25 rupees extra. And that is why this type of negotiation, distributive negotiation, is also called win-lose. One party wins and the other party loses exactly the same amount. In such situations, it is normally better to be a tough negotiator, because only one issue is negotiated and it is much easier to negotiate. There is nothing much of exchange of information except you see whether the toy is working or not. The thing to remember here is that if you win big and they win small, they will still feel like winners. And this happens with us also. Even when we negotiated for 200 rupee toy for 175, we are happy that we have saved 25 rupees. But we do not know whether that person would have sold it for 160 if we had insisted. Now, there is a very nice example of my friend when we were at an international airport. At the international airport, we were just walking around and my friend saw a belt and liked the belt, so he thought of buying it. So he asked for the price. The price told to him was 750 rupees in Indian rupees term. I had bought a similar belt for 500 rupees at Shopper Stop before leaving India. So I told him it is not worth buying it, it's quite costly. and we were in China. So we just started walking around, told the salesperson thank you, and then just we started walking around. The salesperson came back after us and he said, what price? What? How much price? How much? How much? So my friend worked out the calculations and said 500 rupees. The salesperson immediately said, take it. Now when he said take it, my friend felt very bad. Though he had saved 250 rupees on the belt, now he had doubt in his mind whether he should have said 450 or 400. He didn't know. So generally we don't know what is the lowest price the other party is willing to sell. So we depend on our negotiation skills and try to negotiate at best as we can. But in these cases, normally it is extremely advantageous to make a tough call. It doesn't matter whether the other person, the seller, likes it or not, because anyway we are not going to be in connection, we are not going to talk to the seller again maybe for the whole of our life. So there is no relationship involved. So it's only the price, and that is why it is better to be as tough as possible. And going to the next point is, what is an integrative negotiation? In integrative negotiation, there are generally more than one issues which are discussed, more than one niche. Now, besides the issue of price, when you are selling a product as an entrepreneur to somebody, you are also negotiating with him various issues. For example, if somebody is selling an equipment, then that person is selling how much quantity the other party will buy, what will be the delivery time, what will be the price, what will be the payment term, who will bear the insurance cost, who will bear the transport cost, what will be the warranty for the products, and what will be maybe the standard spare parts which will be given along with the machine. Now we found out about 5 or 7 issues which you negotiate as an entrepreneur when you are selling your equipment, or even for a service also there will be various issues involved as to the date before which you will complete the service, what will be the service level agreement, what you have, various issues discussed. So there are a number of things you discuss when the negotiation is of integrative type. And then we call it is integrative negotiation because there are many issues involved. And also there is some sort of relationship involved. The relationship may be very long term or it could be a short term relationship, but still the relationship is there. When there is a relationship involved, is it right to just negotiate as hard as possible? May not be. So we will look at the next issue, but this is not something which we will talk today, but we are going to talk about another issue, and that is the next question. What is the biggest fear most entrepreneurs have during negotiating for their fair price? Now this was a question posed to me, and I thought that first thing that struck me was the fair price. Now I don't know really what is the fair price for a product. If your manufacturing cost is 500, let us say, for a piece of small component, or if you are selling your software for 5,500, your cost is 5,500 per item, I do not know what is a fair price, because it will depend on what the person is thinking. Now somebody may say that, look, if the product cost is 5,500, maybe 10,000 rupees is a fair price. Somebody may say no, 15,000 is a fair price, or somebody may say 7,000 is a fair price. So I don't know what is a fair price. So I will not touch on the fair price because that is a pricing issue which is covered by marketing, not by us. So this will be covered in the marketing. So I'm not talking about the fair price. But then let us look at the other question here. It is the fear. What is the biggest fear? I will not talk about the biggest fear, but I will talk about the fear. What is the fear? Why do negotiators, entrepreneurs are afraid when they are negotiating? One of the reasons is we do not know what is going to be the outcome of the negotiations, and this uncertainty causes us the anxiety. I will not say always fear, but definitely anxiety. Let us see, why do we feel that anxiety? Now generally there are 4 or 5 issues as to why people fear things. A child going to an examination will fear the examination if it is not prepared. And that is the reason also why entrepreneurs are afraid when they go to negotiation or they feel anxious. Their preparation is not adequate. They need to prepare adequately to go to the negotiations. The second thing is they are unaware as to how to make the offer. That is, how will they make the offer? When will they make the offer? The next one is they do not know enough about the other party. They do not know about the need of the other party. And they also do not know number of times as to what are the correct tactics and moves they should play so that they are able to negotiate and get a better deal. So what we saw was their preparations are inadequate. They don't know what are the correct tactics and moves, and they do not know when to make the offer and how to make the offer, and also are not aware, don't have enough information about the need of the other party or the information the other party has. Now if we look at these four things, we will realize that all this is surmountable. It is not unsurmountable. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to know the correct tactics and moves that we are doing. We need to know how to make the offer, when to make the offer, and also we should try to get information about the other party. Now out of these various things, today I will focus only on one issue, and that is to know enough, not only about the other party but also the needs of the other party. Now today with the social media, we have quite a bit of information available on the internet about various people and organizations. So there is LinkedIn which will give you information about the individuals. Then there are websites of the companies which give you information about the companies. This is available on the public space, so there is no harm in using all this to find out about the person with whom you are going to negotiate, and also about the company to which you are going for negotiating. So when you are selling the product or buying the product, either way, it will be important to get this information about the people and the organization from the public space which is available today, and both Facebook, LinkedIn, easily these are available, or the company websites. Okay, let us now go to the next one. Now, how do you, I told you one thing that will help you to investigate and get information about the other side. Now let us look at what the entrepreneur can do when he's going out to sell or even buy the products. The first strategy is here. The first strategy is to build trust and share information. Understand and speak their language, increase the ties that bind, and build trust when not negotiating. Let us look at the first one, building trust. How do we build trust? Now, let us say that if you are eating caramel custard, the caramel custard is made of sugar, eggs, and milk. These are the main ingredients. Now, what is trust made of? The trust is made of two things. One is competence and the other is integrity. Competence and integrity. So one of the important, if you want to build the trust, you should make sure that the other person with whom you are negotiating is sure of your competence and integrity. Now, when you introduce yourself as an entrepreneur of a company, you need to, we normally say 5 or 7 sentences or maybe 8 sentences. How many of us have made sure, how many of us make sure that we tell the best things about our company or ourselves, which will build trust? Now that means those 5 or 7 sentences with which you introduce yourself, you develop that idea of competence in the mind of the other person, and also the integrity. Now, there could be something in your background. There could be something in the name of the company, what you are with your company. You will be able to build this. Now, how many of us write down what is the best thing we can say about ourselves? Most of the people introduce themselves by simply saying things which come to the top of their mind when they meet the customer. Now, well, that serves the purpose, but that may not be the best strategy always. So the first thing we need to do is to prepare our first introduction, or maybe 7 or 10 sentences, 5 sentences, whatever you say, about yourself and the company, which projects you and your company in the best possible light from the point of view of competence and integrity. When I worked with earlier, I worked with a company called Norton, and that was in 70s and early 80s. So when I started my own business, I used to introduce myself saying I used to sell abrasives. I used to tell them that I worked for Norton for 5 years before starting my business. Now Norton was, and even today is, one of the most reputed companies in the abrasive line. So since they knew that I had worked for Norton for 5 years, it used to develop the competence in their mind, the idea that yes, I am competent enough because I worked for Granville for 5 years. And being the big company, or American company called Norton, part of Norton's, they also knew that I will have adequate integrity to ensure that the deal is agreed upon will be delivered. So I used to use initially my work experience with Granville Norton and also Consolidated Pneumatic to create this feeling of competence and integrity. So what is there that in your background, the company background, which will help you to create this feeling of competence and integrity? It could be the awards you have won. It could be your educational qualification. Somebody who is from IIT and he says that, look, I passed out from this IIT. I did my engineering at this IIT. That will create the feeling of competence and integrity to a certain extent also. Remember, let us remember one thing. It is not boasting. Many people feel that if they are talking about themselves, they are boasting. But I don't think that is the right way to look at it. The right way to look at it is when you give facts, you are not boasting. If you are using adjectives, you are boasting. If I say, I know everything about abrasives, well, that I'm boasting, and then I'm boasting. But if I say I worked for Granville Norton, that's a fact. And they know that Granville Norton is a big company with very good reputation, and obviously their employees are reasonably qualified, experienced, knowledgeable, and with the sense of integrity. So when you talk of facts, it is not boasting. When you talk of you use adjectives when you say, that is boasting. So avoid that. Avoid using adjectives, talk about facts. The second is understand and speak their language. This is quite simple because when I say speak their language, I don't mean the English language or Hindi or whatever is the language. Of course that helps, but also the jargon that is used in their industry. Now each industry has certain jargon. You will be able, you know that what is the customer industry, what jargon they use. If you pick up this jargon, use those short forms, use those words with specific meanings, that will create a feeling of bonding. And that will help you to create trust and gel with the other party. Increasing the ties that bind includes speaking the same language or finding out more about the person and then find out what is the commonality. What is common between you and the other person, and those commonalities will bind you together. Then there is build trust when not negotiating. And this is very important because once you sit down with your quotation to negotiate, people will start suspecting what you are saying. Now then they know that you are saying something because you want to sell your product or you want to get the best price when you are buying the product or you want a certain thing from them, that's why you are saying something. But most of the people are not that well guarded when they feel that they are not negotiating. So actually they are. Let us look at it like this. Now I am selling a product which is also available on net. Now, as all of us know, the net prices are normally much lower than what is available when somebody is selling it across the table. Now, if I say while talking to them casually that we don't compare our prices with the net prices because we value the service we give along with the product. Now, this looks a very innocuous statement, not aimed at negotiating, but that gives them an idea that your prices may not be comparable with the net and your prices will be higher. The counterpart, if the person is buying it, then the person might say, the buyer may say, look, we know you are giving us the service, additional service, but we are only willing to pay a very small premium on the net prices. Now he is conveying to you that don't expect a very high price. Whereas in the first case, the seller was conveying that we are going to be little pricey, little costlier than the net price. Many of the entrepreneurs or salespeople think that their price is the major reason why they don't get the orders. But then let us look at what we buy as an individual or for our company. Do we always buy the cheapest product? I don't think so. In fact, none of us buy possibly the cheapest product that is available in the market. Now all of you are sitting on the computer. Now is that computer the cheapest available in the market? Unlikely. So people don't buy the product because it is the cheapest. So when they are negotiating, they will tell you that this is the cheapest price. They are looking for the cheapest price, but that may not be the whole truth. There will be different other issues involved which they want to look at. Now it could be quality, it could be service, it could be warranty period and so on and so forth. So to know all that, you need to ask questions. Once you understand what the customer really wants, what are the customer's priorities, then you will be able to negotiate better. So ask questions. One of the studies showed that there are the skillful negotiators, good negotiators use 2.5 times the questions an average negotiator will ask. So more the questions you ask, more the information you have from the other party, obviously you will be more comfortable and you will be able to do it without fear. The second one is when you ask a question, please do not reply yourself or not give enough time to the other party to reply. Many times the salesperson will ask a question and then reply oneself. He or she will reply herself. Now that is not a good idea because you want to know from the other party what the answer is. So don't assume the answers or do not take no for an answer. If you ask a question and the other party doesn't reply, just take a little time and rephrase the question again. Rephrase the question again. So that you are able to get the information. The third thing about this strategy is talk to people who are not at the table, who are not negotiating with you. That means you may be negotiating with the purchase person, but there is a production person or there is a technical person in their office who might be able to give you a lot more information than the purchase people is willing to give. Also because the technical person is not really thinking that he is negotiating, so he will be willing to give you information. And understanding the technical person's requirements will help you to really offer the right product and the price. So once you offer a product which is a combination of product, price, quality, service, etc., etc., then you will be able to get a better price from the customer. Now, when we are negotiating with somebody, a customer who we have we have some relationship with the party or we intend to develop the relationship, obviously there will be a lot of exchange of information. Now, how do we go about exchanging the information? That is the question. There are 3 or 4 general guidelines which we can use for giving and taking the information. The first is, we don't start giving them very important information which might affect the negotiations later. We start giving small information and ask questions. So when we give small information, we give little bit. It may sound very important, though it may not be very important. It could be of very general nature. They may already know it. We really don't know whether they know it already or they don't know it already. And then it need not be very specific, it can be very general. Because if you give if one gives very specific information to the other party, then possibly that will be used to a dealer's advantage, the other fellow's advantage. That will be put you at a disadvantage. So make sure that you do not give very important information to the other party when you are negotiating. But then the last point what I say here, give some, take some. So give some information, ask a question as like we saw earlier. When you ask the question, the other party should give you information. So it is a negotiation. In the process of negotiation, there should be an exchange of information. That is very, very important. And the information being exchanged moves up the ladder. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I think the slides are stuck. We're not able to see the slides moving.
No, I'm seeing the correct one.
Oh, okay. On the screen we cannot see the moving slides.
Now, now I have put third strategy. I was able to see third strategy.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Let me change again.
Yeah.
Are you able to see the change?
No.
Now I have come to the third stage. That third strategy.
Okay.
My
For some
slide shows third
reason,
strategy.
can you close the show my screen and restart again so that it is, if it is a problem, then we'll email all the
You want me to
participants.
close
Yeah, sure.
the slide?
No. Close on the left hand top corner of the go-to meeting. You will see show my screen. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
If it is still not working, we'll email the presentation to all the participants.
Yeah. You just
Yeah. Now we can see it.
now you can see third
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, third strategy. Yeah. So
Thank you.
the process of exchange of information is you give some information, not that important, ask questions, get back the information. And when you get back the information about the other party, then you take it step by step, giving more and more critical information. If the other party is willing to give you information which will be harmful to them or which can be used by you in negotiations, and then you can keep on upgrading the information you are giving. The objective of this is to develop a deal which is beneficial to both, what we traditionally call win-win. So to arrive at a win-win deal, we need to collect information from the other party as well as give the information so that both of us are able to develop the terms of exchange which are beneficial to both of us. And that cannot be done without giving the information. So in integrated negotiation, that is how it works. One of the issues that we must remember very clearly is that the other party which is negotiating with you must also have trust in you as much as you have in the party. Many times the salespeople, the entrepreneurs, when they are selling the product, they give away too much information in the initial stages. And then they are at a disadvantage because you must have, all of us as an entrepreneur see this happening. Somebody gives a lot of information to the purchaser. The purchaser then uses that information to talk to the other people. So how much information we should give depends on what sort of relationship we have with the other party. If we feel that the information we are giving can be misused against us, misused during the negotiations, either with us or with some other party, then we tend to be more careful. We need to be more careful and ensure that we do not give away too much information. Because more the information we give, advantage is on the other side. And we give information when we talk. So in negotiations, it is very important to use the strategy that we talk as less as possible. Not that we don't talk at all, but we definitely talk less and listen more. When we listen more, we get the information. And to make the other person talk, we ask questions. So we ask questions, get the information, also give the information to the other side. And if slowly as the confidence builds up and we work with the other party for some time, then automatically we tend to exchange information much more. And that is how we build the relationship. That is how we build up the relationship. Okay. I will not go into the other issues because because of lack of time. It's already 3:45 as per my watch. So I will be stopping here. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
So, so far they haven't, so far they haven't asked question. So if you're okay, we can move into the next slide and finish.
No, I think one second. My computer has got stuck now. The last.
All right.
The last slide I used it actually. Yeah, I used the last slide. No, I took it in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I used that last slide.
So I'll ask you the question then, sir.
Yeah, sure.
So, is it possible to elaborate a little more on distributive negotiation and how it helps on a daily, regular basis? Anantika wanted to ask this question.
Yeah. Now, you see, distributive negotiation is normally a single issue negotiation where the relationship is non-existent. Like I explained to you about the fellow who is selling toys. Right?
Yeah.
So your roadside toy, when you buy it, there is no relationship at all. So it's a single issue negotiation. So you negotiate as hard as possible and get as low a price as possible. In life, when you are negotiating in the office or when you are negotiating in the house, they are not distributive types, they are integrative types. In fact, most of the negotiations that we do are integrative types, not distributive.
Right.
For example, but you say, look at it. No, it is not the value. Suppose you are buying a car. Now, when you are buying a car, you are negotiating number of issues. You are negotiating the price, you are negotiating the accessories, you are negotiating the insurance, you are negotiating the color, you may be negotiating the delivery time, etc., etc. And when you are negotiating so many issues, it is still more like a distributive because there is no relationship involved, number one. And the second part is, you are not going to go to him for the service. So you will try to negotiate as hard as possible on all these issues to make sure that you get a best deal. The servicing will be done by some other fellow. So you are not worried whether this fellow gets upset or he gets angry. The salesman. So it doesn't depend on the value. It depends on what sort of deal you are doing, with whom you are negotiating, and will you have a relationship with that person. If the relationship is not going to be there, then you can negotiate. Yes.
So, also there is another gentleman, Mr. Shaikh. He wants to know, similarly for entrepreneurs, many a times, negotiation happens on the telephone. Is there a different protocol to it, or what is the right way to approach customers, to negotiate with customers over the phone?
Yeah, you see, now negotiating on phone has some disadvantages, has some advantages. The disadvantages you have is you are not able to see the person. So you are not able to see the facial expressions, which will give you some indication as to what the other person is saying, the body language, what we call. We have to go more by the tone and by what the other person is saying. The words.
Right.
This is what really will. Now the second thing is, when you are, let me give you two more things. Now when you sit down and talk on phone, the force of what you are saying or the way you say things is little different than when you stand and speak. So important thing is to make sure that you want to sit down and talk or whether you want to stand. Even if the other person is not able to see you, your voice level, your pitch, the way you say things will not change if you stand and speak. So you have to decide whether you want to sit down and speak or whether you want to stand and speak. That is number one. The second thing is, many people have the habit of looking at their computer and talking on phone. They'll keep reading their emails and then also talk to the customer or talk to somebody on the other end. Now, if one has that habit, then it is a problem because we are not able to concentrate enough and get the best possible negotiation. So it is important that we do not get distracted in our office or from home or in the car from that time. So it is not a good idea to do negotiations if you are driving or if you are going on a motorbike or driving a car. Better will be to tell the person that, look, I will talk to you after 2 minutes. Stop the vehicle somewhere roadside and then talk about it. Because otherwise our attention gets distracted and then we might miss important points. The third thing is, the other person can hang up anytime, and that's why the entrepreneurs are very jittery when it comes on talking on phone. They are scared that the other person will say no and just put the phone down. So it is very important in those cases to make sure that we have in our mind very clearly what is the best offer we can offer. And whatever is the best offer we can make, stick to that. I have not talked about preparation now, but because it's a very big subject, so I just covered some small area. But preparing for the negotiation involves deciding what is the best offer you can make, or what is the least offer you will accept if you are buying the product. What is the least you will accept, or what is the best you would like to offer? Nothing more than that is no discount after that, or the terms remain the same. Actually, with the price, the negotiations, it is better if it is an important negotiation. Avoid doing it on phone. That's what I always say. It is better to do one-to-one. Doing on phone may not be always good, but now that we are in the international market and things like that, people don't have choice. They have to do it on phone. I hope I clarified some of the things.
Yeah. So, as and when the situation requires you to mold yourself and see your exit point, one should negotiate accordingly. You're saying that?
Well, what I'm saying is that our exit point should be decided before we enter the negotiations.
Right.
It is not something we decide when you are negotiating.
Okay. Right, sir. So,
you should be ready with that and then go.
So, more and more entrepreneurs are now getting a little quizzical about the topic. Any recommendations you have for them, for the startup entrepreneurs to practice negotiations, or any books or videos or movies that can help them learn the basics?
There are many. No, you see, there is in negotiation. It's a very
vast
the
topic.
interesting thing is it is a skill. It is a skill.
Yeah.
So just having a book is not enough. Of course, reading the book will help, but it's not enough. I don't have anything offhand at the moment, but there are many of them. One of the very good books I would recommend is Negotiation Genius.
Right.
Negotiation Genius. This is by Max and Deepak. I forgot the surname. Malhotra. Yeah, Deepak Malhotra.
Right. Right. I'm sure it will be
Max Bazerman and Deepak Malhotra.
Right, sir. So also
they talk about.
Yeah.
Talking about the integrated negotiation, basically.
Right, sir. And so, being an entrepreneur, how do they realize where they're going wrong in negotiation skills? Because most people cannot, negotiation skills they refer to as sales or, putting their project forward. So, what is those trigger points entrepreneurs can keep in mind?
You see, yeah. When the entrepreneur is negotiating, right from the time whether he's negotiating with the bankers or with the seller, buying the equipment or selling his or her product or whatever, there are a host of things one needs to do. I'm not very sure I'll be able to cover everything at the moment.
Right, sir.
But one point which I said was that decide the end point. Okay, nothing more than that will be offered. But then there are a host of things, you do, the preparation itself can take, if I'm teaching in the workshop, I take maybe 1.5 hours to just say how we can prepare for this. So, I don't know how I will be able to cover those things in such a short time.
Sure, sir. We will definitely have to have a workshop very soon then. I'm sure all the participants also.
Workshop, then it can be, a lot of, the full thing can be covered because I keep doing that often. But
right.
That's how it works out.
Sure, sir. So, also, just one last question. Here is Mr. Khaja, and he is asked, willing a negotiation with self increase the chances of winning the negotiation with others?
Yes. I mean, I will just look at it slightly differently. When we negotiate with ourselves, we actually debate.
Right.
Okay. We say that, should I do this or should I do that? Now, when I'm talking, it is a part of preparation as to what is the strategy you are going to use for negotiations. What price will you offer initially? When suppose you are lowest price, you say, okay, I will just take one issue. I will not give less than this product for less than 10,000 rupees per piece. I don't want to reduce less than that. Should I offer 12,000 in the beginning or should I offer 15,000 in the beginning? What will be suitable for this customer?
Right.
So when you debate with yourself, you are going into the nitty-gritty of negotiations and trying to work out the strategy which will be useful to you, which you think will work well. So it is very important that you debate with yourself what you are going to do when you go for negotiations. Prepare yourself for it and then go, because you will be ready with many of the answers that come. The second, one of the important question to ask when you are going for negotiation is, do I know enough about the other party? What is their need? What is the requirement? What they value? Now I could not cover the integrated negotiation, but the full thing. But the question is, do I know what is valuable to them? Now if I don't know what is valuable to them, I need to ask questions and then get that answer.
Right, sir.
That is a very crucial part of negotiations. We must know what the other party values. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Right, sir. So with that, we're almost done with the questions. That was really very interesting session, sir. Hopefully, we can manage to rope you in for one of our workshops and ask all the attendees to join, because we've seen a couple of questions.
You see, for the workshop, it is more interactive. It is like there is a things on self-assessment. So people understand, the participants understand how they look at the negotiations. That is a very important part before we start learning negotiations.
Right, sir.
We must know how each one of us will look at negotiations. That will help them a lot.
Right, sir.
And
Thank you.
To know where to change and what to change.
Yes, sir. Thank you all the attendees. That was really nice session, sir. The next webinar for the attendees, the next webinar will be conducted on 11th of June on importance of team building for startups. If you find this session interesting, tweet us at NEN India. The recorded version of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/eClub online by tomorrow evening. Thank you very much, sir, for this interesting session. Thank you all our attendees for participating in the webinar. We know we had a couple of very bad webinars due to technical glitches, and we're glad that the questions kept coming in and the presentation recording of the session will be uploaded soon. Thank you once again, sir. Have a nice evening.